Traditional roguelikes are not an easy genre to get into. Between the complex controls and the esoteric graphics, it makes perfect sense why the most popular roguelikes lately have been ones that blend basics like procedurally generated levels and permadeath with other genres entirely, like Dead Cells. But Caves of Qud is a near perfect middle ground. It's an enormous and complex open world RPG that walks and talks like an old school roguelike, but with some very rad innovations. It's also one of the weirdest and most ambitious games I've ever played. My name is Steven Messner, and you should play Caves of Qud. I think the easiest way to describe Caves of Qud is that it's basically like playing a Dungeons & Dragons tabletop campaign, but instead of being set in a traditional fantasy universe, Caves of Qud is set so ridiculously far into the future that barely anything is recognizable to us anymore. It's like a post-apocalyptic open world RPG, and you can do almost anything thanks to this deep, intricate layering of systems and a randomly generated world that is just full of secrets. See, Caves of Qud goes a step beyond just randomly generating levels like most other roguelikes. It randomly generates almost everything. Every time you play, entire villages, cities, dungeons, and quests are all created unique to that character. Hell, even the culture and histories of the people who live in this world are randomly generated. It's nuts. Now, if you're looking at this video and feeling totally confused by what's happening on screen, do not worry. It only takes like an hour or so before you start to interpret all these symbols and the objects they represent. And before long, you'll start to see these retro-looking maps as the lush and dangerous jungles or subterranean caves that they are. What Caves of Qud lacks in graphics, it makes up for in gameplay. The world is your sandbox to play in. Want to become a water merchant who trades in priceless books, the text of which is also randomly generated? Sure, you can do that. Or you can become a cybernetic god who cut off his own legs and replace them with tank treads. It's up to you. Or maybe you want to be a sexy desert nomad with 2 trusty pistols looking for ancient treasure. It's almost impossible to describe the limits of what you can do in Caves of Qud because there's just so much that's possible. If you're at all familiar with Dwarf Fortress and the legendary stories that come out of its deeply simulated world, Caves of Qud is a lot like that, only it's much easier to play. During the dozens of hours I've played since it first entered Steam Early Access, I've had a lot of characters whose stories all stuck with me even though most died horribly. My most recent adventure, for example, was as a mutated human esper named Tick, who had a bear sidekick that I smooth-talked into adventuring with me. Tick met a really unfortunate end though because he got slaughtered by his evil twin that traveled through time and space in order to kill him. You heard that right. My most current playthrough though is as a Truekin, which are like these non-mutated humans that use wickedly powerful cybernetic implants. And while I was exploring a cave, I accidentally got sprayed by a mushroom, and now I have a fungal infection that is causing mushrooms to grow on my head. I can't wear helmets anymore, which sucks, but when enemies hit me, I have a small chance to release spores that damage them over time, which is pretty fucking cool. That kind of cause and effect can be taken to some pretty extreme levels in Caves of Qud. It can get pretty weird. I recently found out that it's possible to create a temporal twin of my character and then cut off its face and wear that skin on my own face to give myself a bonus to my ego stat. So by wearing the skin of my twin, who is also me, I now get a better discount from merchants. Very normal stuff. Because all of this is represented on screen by these crude little symbols though, I know it might turn off some players, but Caves of Qud is a game that thrives and lives in your imagination, and it's helped along by very eloquent text descriptions that display whenever you look at objects in the environment. It'll take a bit of learning and a lot of dying, but Caves of Qud is an old school RPG that is unlike anything I have ever played. You should probably play it too. Regardless, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We really appreciate it. My name is Steven, and be kind to one another.